Hi everybody, I'm so excited to be talking to you today about feminism, and there's no one better than Emma to discuss this with. I'm so excited, Emma, that you're here. Literally,
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
So exciting, Emma. So Emma is incredible. Emma is a feminist, most importantly. She also is the co-founder of Good American, an incredible brand. Check it out. She also is the founder of ITB. And most importantly, she is Women for Women International's ambassador. Yay!
Proud ambassador.
Thank you, Emma. So we're going to talk today about feminism, what it means to be a feminist, and most importantly, what are our tools in our toolkit so that we can inspire and help each other be the best feminists we possibly can be. And as I was thinking about and talking to you, Emma, I was thinking about how, what was the earliest that I would have called myself a feminist if I had known the word?
That's a good question. If you'd have known the
word.
Which you probably didn't at that point in your life, right? Yeah.
Exactly, because I was about 14 and we moved from Germany to Venezuela. And I was so shocked to see the poverty there and to see how it affected women disproportionately. Actually, like women as second class.
Like night and day.
Exactly. And just being treated as if they were not worth anything. And for me, I was just like tapped into this passion and thinking like, there's no way. I'm just not going to accept this. And then prior to this, I have a younger brother. I also realized that actually, I was being treated quite differently to my brother.
Amazing.
And so this kind of parallel things were happening. I suddenly saw gender being manifested in so unequal ways. And so I was like, oh, okay, this is not okay.
No.
Exactly, no. Why do I have to clear the table?
You were the Brita we all know even then as well.
Exactly.
Baby Brita.
Literally, I know. But you know what? It wasn't until I got to university that I was introduced to feminism. And I remember thinking, hallelujah!
I have a label for this.
I know, right? I'm not alone.
Wow.
And then really kind of moving through my life, that experience has always been present and it's really kind of shaped how I've approached my career. And
absolutely.
I wonder what that's been like for you. How has gender impacted on your experiences and expectations?
I think definitely, and I think I'm 35 years old and I am one of 4 girls, 4 sisters, so that's a whole different story there. Born to a single mother, or raised by a single mother, and so I think that very, very, very early on, I had a very strong feeling of what it meant to be a woman. And I also think I have to add to that, and I've been thinking about this a lot in the run-up to the call with you, because I think what I do and how I act and how I respond in this particular moment in time and in the business that I run, which is obviously extremely feminist in its agenda. But I learned that from a very, very young age, and it really came from my mother and also from my grandmother. My mum worked in a big international American bank where she was one of very, very few senior women. And we're going back 25 years now, so you can imagine.
Super special that.
Very, very different time. It was really those times when the women had the jobs for the most part as secretaries, and the men had the high-flying jobs as traders and international bankers and the decision makers for the most part. And I definitely remember hearing stories, not necessarily told to me, but hearing stories of my mother's at-work professional frustrations, things that were really bothering her, pay disparity, a way of being treated, not being seen for promotions, and I remember thinking to myself, like, that's terrible, because my mum is great, right? She's so major, and so I definitely had that feeling at a young age that something wasn't right, and when I got to work, that is not what I wanted for myself. So that was like an early frustration, but again, not having a label for that, not being able to say I'm a feminist. But I definitely think I was brought up, and this is one of the things that I now think about a lot as a mother. I was raised with the idea of equality not even being a question. So with one of 4 girls, my mum was very, very, very clear about, you can do whatever you want to do so long as you work hard, and you will be worth as much as anybody else, because you have to remember, again, going back 25 years, growing up in East London, not only was I a girl, but I'm also a black girl, and so I definitely had this idea that whatever I wanted, whatever I wanted to do, whatever sights I set myself on, that would be fine, so long as I worked hard and harder than everyone else. And I used to think to myself, why does she say I have to work harder than anyone else? Shouldn't I just work as hard as everyone else? But I definitely, now when I think back, I think my mum was preparing me for what was going to be inevitable in my life. And so from a very, very young age, I learned that, you know, self-worth and how, you know, the values that were instilled in me at a really, really young age is what's actually taken me through things in my life, even though I wasn't able to equate that until much, much later in my life.
And was there like a challenge that kind of you think about, and you remember that was really hard, and you felt that you weren't given the same opportunities maybe because you were a woman, or you were in an environment where, you know, women just weren't given the voice, or is that...
Well, it's, you know, it's interesting, and I think, you know, while I can completely appreciate that this happens to women all the time around the world, I chose fashion as my career. And so I was actually, to the contrary, very, very lucky, because I've been surrounded by women in positions of power right from the beginning. So when I did my work experience, whether that would be a designer studio or a PR agency, you know, there were always women in positions of power that chose to, you know, promote other young women through the business. I think as I've got older, what I've definitely seen is a distinct or a distinct difference in the way men and women carry themselves in a professional situation, even to the point where in the first company that I ever founded, you know, you'd come around the time of year for, you know, staff assessments, and all the boys would be sitting there, you know, ready to go, so how much are you going to pay rise me? And the girls would go, thank you very much, like, how am I doing? And I'd be like, are you going to ask for some more money? You know, so that didn't come to me until much, much later life. And I think all of those values that were instilled in me very, very early on in my life meant that if those situations were happening to me, they were fleeting, and I was straight on top of them. And when I saw them, I addressed them immediately in my own staff. But I think I've been lucky that personally I haven't, you know, again, I was in fashion, and I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of powerful women that had already really paved the path for me.
Yeah. So one of the most important things that we're trying to do here at Women for Women International is to help you build your feminist toolkit. I mean, actually also me, because I think this is an ongoing process forever. Like, you never stop building your feminist toolkit, right? So what would be like some of your top tips, you know, that help you kind of follow it? Yay, full of top tips.
Full of
we
top
love
tips.
that. That's
I love top
first
tips.
interview. Yay.
I love it. Full of top tips. Well, so going back to that point of like other people, what role do other people play in your role that, you know, aren't your friends, that you're not related to, and this idea of mentorship? And since I've moved to the US, I've been surrounded by this idea of mentorship, and I'm like, where are my mentors? You know, I've really had to go, because nobody labelled themselves as such, but actually I did have them, and I was definitely lucky that I'd been in female-founded businesses, and then as I've come up in the industry, I found my women that would champion me. One of them being a great friend of mine, Natalie Massenet, who, you know, founded Net-a-Porter. She is incredibly successful, but also has a you know, knowledge and warmth, and is known for championing other women and really shining a light on people.
So important, right? I mean, I really need to just stop here.
It's massive.
Championing other women.
It's
like,
massive.
It's like this idea of, you know, so I always talk about the mindset of abundance rather than scarcity. So it's not about, you know, I can only get great if others don't.
No, it's more is more. In fact, it's the complete opposite. Because the more you know, the more you're able to shine light on other people, and the more you're able to share your knowledge or your success or whatever else it is, the more you get. And that is 100%, you know, I definitely, with somebody like Natalie, who is a great champion of people in general, right? Men, women, boys and girls. To have somebody like that who says great things about you, who speaks well of you, but also gives you an idea of what you're really great at, and is able to kind of, you know, help and push you in that direction. I think there's a lot of things that I might not have done had I not got the sense of, you're going to be great at this, from her. And so sometimes it's just a voice in the ear, sometimes it's like a physical, I'm going to make a phone call for you. And again, I think personally what I've learned is when I'm struggling, when I'm having like a difficult time, as you inevitably do, I always think to myself, okay, what can I do to help someone else? Like, I'm going to pick up the phone now, deflect from whatever I'm going through and I'm feeling, and for some reason, like, I don't know what it is, but that stuff comes back around to you. So I physically go, okay, I'm going to do like 3 things now to help someone else. I'm going to like make this email, or, you know, make this phone call, send this email, hook this person up with this person, and there's this magical way that things have a way of coming back round to you.
So tell me a bit more, because you just said, and I completely agree, and this is why I love your brand, and I love everything that comes through the communications around your brand.
Yes.
You said it's a feminist brand.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about that, and how was that hard? How did you set it up? How did you make it so feminist, and what's really important to you in that?
Well, I think this comes down to, what we set out to do was something that was really reflective of the founders. So I'm really lucky. Khloe Kardashian is my business partner, and when we decided to do this brand, it wasn't about jeans. It wasn't about, it was really that we wanted to create a brand that was in the light of ourselves, something that was about inclusivity. And for me, feminism is a really simple thing, right? It's about equal rights for boys and girls. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. It doesn't mean we don't like boys, or we're not interested in, making ourselves look sexy and great, because I'm interested in all of those things. One boy in particular, in case he's watching, because that sounds really, really ambiguous. But that was really what Good American was about in the beginning. And we wanted to create a brand because, again, I think this is something that has come through in my entire career and my upbringing. It's about confidence. When a woman has confidence, she can do anything, like literally anything. And a lot of that, in women in this day and age, can be about how you look, because how you look, how you carry yourself, how you feel about yourself, it's all intertwined. And so for us it was, how do you, take what is a big worry for a lot of women, this kind of agony in how you look, and actually flip it on its head and turn that into, what it's about to be a really confident woman. And our view was that if we could take the pain out of dressing, the pain out of finding the right size for yourself, the pain out of having to search around for things that that actually we could make a really, really great brand. Because you don't look at you don't look at your friends in that way, right? You don't say, I'm going to go shopping with the girlfriends that are similar size to me or look like me. You go shopping with your friends. That's it.
And what I love so much about it is that basically what you're doing is you're saying you're great as you are, right? You don't have to become something different in order to fit into something that doesn't fit you, right?
We're actually saying that the absolute opposite. We want to fundamentally change the relationship women have with their bodies, because we believe that takes time and energy away from the things that are really important.
Exactly.
And the things that are really important, especially now, is not worrying about the size of your backside, right? There's other things to think about and other places to put your energy. So we do everything we do in all of the sizes with no changes, and then it's just up to the woman, right? It's like we're not deciding or making a decision that maybe you're a little bit bigger and so you should have a sleeve. That's up to the woman, and in most cases she doesn't want a sleeve. She wants what everybody else is wearing, quite frankly. It's a very old and archaic way, and I think fashion has this huge part to play in how women feel about themselves. That imagery, that messaging, the consistent advertising that we have, it really has to change for women to be able to feel great about themselves.
And I think this is the really important thing, that confidence is so much at the heart, I think, of anything, and definitely of activism as well, and of being a feminist. And it's really this idea, you're not being put into a box. You can be who you are, and you can speak about what you believe in, and you can wear what you want. And it's just the whole approach that you take, I think, is so inclusive. It's so joyful as well.
Yeah, no, it is.
That
helps too.
But I mean, let's talk about. So I think we talked about the importance of confidence, and Emma talked really powerfully about how having mentors or people who believe in you. Of course, you have to believe in yourself. That's the number one. But you can get some nourishment, right? Like some reinforcement from people saying, "I think you're great."
100%.
Which is wonderful. Yeah. And I think that's super important.
And also, I think there's a responsibility to do it for others as well. Because I think what you've got to remember is that should be a circle or a cycle. Yeah. And you have to remember that you need to do that. You need to pluck people, and you need to be able to do that. It's all part of
sisterhood.
Yes,
exactly.
Absolutely. Our favourite subject.
Absolutely. But before we come to that, so I know that a lot of the women that we work with at Women for Women International, in fact, one of the big outcomes we focus on is confidence. Yes. Because we know that if you feel more confident, then you can rebuild your life. But we also, I'm always really surprised that when I travel and I meet the women, they always talk about how they want to create a better life for their children. and even if they don't have children, it's for the children of their brothers and sisters that they might be looking after. So I know that you have a gorgeous boy and a girl,
yes.
And so what are you hoping for them? Because you spoke really powerfully how your mother has given you the confidence and the belief system.
Yeah.
What are your hopes looking to the future for your children?
I mean, so it's really important because I do have a boy and a girl, and I think that I remember when Sheryl Sandberg wrote that brilliant book Lean In, and I went out and I bought it for every single woman in my office, and then I read it and I went out and bought it for every single man in my office. I was like, oh, missed the point. And so I always think about that moment as I'm raising my children. It's really true. I was like, mistake.
No, not mistake. Okay, so this is actually a really important point. Because it's not a mistake, right?
No, because
it's part of
it. It's part of your journey.
Exactly.
And it's part of the journey. And you need men in this space, fight, opinion space, whatever it is. Like it takes all of us. And so when I'm raising my boy and my girl, the first thing I'm thinking about is, equality. Like they're the same, right? I'm teaching them exactly the same things about love and respect and empathy and looking after yourself and having confidence. So that's the first thing, not to make these differences. It's like you get dinosaurs and you get dollies, and funnily enough, you think that like straight away as a mother that those things are going to be natural. They're not. You do. Even me, who's very aware of these things, you make mistakes, and so it's about correcting those mistakes and being a very aware parent all the time. And so I definitely try to be very present and consistent in my thinking about how I'm raising them. But my hopes for them, they're growing up in an extraordinary time.
Yes.
We live in LA, and so we're right in the heart of the Me Too movement. And what I hope for them is that they are, that they're not at the tail end of a movement, that this is just part of their life, how they work, what they do at school, how they behave professionally, and then it sinks into them and they become a warrior for the cause. Because I think it's very, very easy just to kind of have these things happen and then they get swept up in a media storm and then they kind of go away. And I believe in you learn this idea of like trickle down effect. Well, right now, yes, this is a huge issue, and yes, we're all talking about it, but we're not all talking about it. We're talking about it in the very, very upper echelons of society, in very specific, professional areas, if it's in the entertainment business or in the fashion business, and there's a long way for this to go. So I think, taking those issues from the newspapers and the news to around your dinner table, to be able to speak very openly. And again, it goes to this thing of, when I was younger, we were spoke to about everything. There was no off-limit subjects, and so I do the same for my children. It's like, if there's a question asked, I try to answer it to the best of my abilities, and my hope for them is that they grow up wanting the information, wanting what we're there to tell them, because I'm going to keep speaking to them all the time.
Because they're going to have that interest.
Absolutely.
Okay, before we take some questions from you guys, I wanted to kind of actually end on this notion that we are living in unprecedented times. I think I said to you earlier, I've been working on women's rights for 25 years since I graduated from university, and
you're like,
oh my God,
this is my moment.
Hallelujah! I can't believe it. I'm experiencing this. Absolutely, with the kind of it's not. This is the beginning, and this is a seismic shift. But we need to really keep pushing. But what is your message to the sisterhood? What do you want to say in order to kind of keep this momentum?
Well, I think, what do I want to say? I mean, when I think about the sisterhood, and I think about it in relation to Women for Women especially, and the women that you serve in the charity, first of all, I want everybody to feel this sense of togetherness and to know that we're all in it, because I think about the women that I personally support through Women to Women International every day, and I think that knowing somebody else, a bit like the mentorship thing, right? Knowing somebody else has got your back, that somebody else cares, that regardless of the huge difference in personal circumstance and situation, that you've got people out there that care about your rights, that care about your everyday, and that are working hard in a different capacity, not as you are, but in a different capacity to make your life better. I think that's the most important thing. And I really was brought up in East London, where there was such a sense of community, and I now really extend that sense of community across my professional life, where I work, the women that I support, the charity I support, and that's really important. To know that that's happening is everything for those women, because that does give a sense of belonging and a sense of confidence. And so for me, it's like, women, men, we all need to band together, and we all need to think about our families and our our circles being ever broader, because we are all completely connected, right? It's like we just are. And so and it's, again, something I'm trying to teach my children, which is very difficult for a 2 and a 4-year-old. They're like, what? Connected? But I think that's really important, to know that we are ultimately all one, we're all together, and we're all in it together.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Yay, I love that. I think that is so true. And believe that you can make a difference.
Well, because you can.
Because you can.
Because you can.
Exactly.
I came at the charity world and sector thinking that it was a thing for super uber wealthy women to do as like a part-time thing. And one thing that I've learned through working with Women to Women International is that it's the absolute opposite of that, because there's so much grassroots work and there's so much stuff that you can do in a really small way. So I'm very, very, very happy to be, part of the team.
Much. Yeah, you are, honestly, thank you, so inspiring. I know that there are a couple of questions that you guys have been sending in. I think the first one is for both of us.
Really?
We're going to try and be fast, but it's, I think you want to know what our feminist icon is. Tough one.
It is a tough one. Do you have one? Do you know yours?
Oh, I have so many.
You do?
Yeah, I do, but I'm going to choose my daughter Sarah. She's 15, and she came home the other day from school, and she told me that she'd been told off because she wasn't wearing the right socks and shoes, and that her teacher had said to her, well, Sarah, I'm going to have a word with your mum. She's going to have to take you shopping. And Sarah said to me, and I just looked at her, I looked at the teacher and I said, yeah, and what about my dad? So I was like,
she's so major. I love her. She's my feminist icon. Right. Done. I'm going to say Sarah, Brita's daughter. That is amazing. Well, isn't it quite true? Because you would be like, yeah, I need your mum to go and buy you some new stuff. And she's like, why not my dad?
I know.
Isn't that amazing?
It's like weird because we're sort of trapped in these gender stereotypes, aren't we?
Yeah.
Okay, there is another question. This is one for you. Do you think the fashion industry needs to be more inclusive and diverse? And why is that important to Good American? I mean, you already spoke about that.
I do, and it's something that I champion absolutely. Thank you for the question, I should say, first of all. It's something that I champion every day. And being, a young black woman who has come up in the fashion industry, I was definitely one of few and not one of many. And I think the further you go up in the ranks of more seniority in the fashion industry, the fewer, the less diversity there is. And I think there's a couple of ways to do that. I mean, number one is having people like me actually talk about it, and it really is a responsibility of all businesses. But what we do at Good American, we're talking from age to racial diversity to size diversity, and it has to be something that you do every day. It's not a project. It's not a CSR requirement. It's not something that you do as, this season's thing. It has to be continuous. And I think I'm extremely proud of Good American that we're a really principled business. And what we do, any day you go on our website and it looks like, like almost like you've got a selection of your friends. It's all different types of women, in their glory. And I think that you have to be absolutely... You have to really want that for your company. And I think the thing that we don't talk about in the fashion industry is not all the brands want that. It's something that for whatever reason we've got into this time of, this is what the catwalks are, and this is how people look on the catwalks, and this is how people look in advertising, and it's very, very old-fashioned. So we're starting to see a big change, and so my answer would be that, yes, I do think the fashion industry is very, very slow to catch on. I think that we're doing an okay job now to see some change, but there's so much more to be done, and they could do with speeding it up.
I love it.
Come on,
exactly.
Change your clothes like every season. New show, new campaign, new thing. I'm like, come on. Exactly. It should be the business that can move a bit faster. But we are seeing great changes, and there's lots of, I think about now, you've got fantastic people that are in great positions, in this country and all over Europe especially. And so I think, and actually I would say probably Europe is leading the charge in some respects as to diversity in the fashion industry, for sure.
I think it's so exciting, but because what I really hear from you is something that we hold really dear at Women for Women International, and that is if something doesn't work, if something isn't helping you fulfill your purpose anymore, right? It's to your point. If you set yourself an intention, and actually that goes for us as individuals, you have to be true to it.
Yeah.
You have to follow it, and if that means trying to find other ways of doing things, or going outside the box, of doing something that no one else is doing, well, great,
Yes.
do it.
Yeah, just do it.
Exactly,
Just do it.
There's like no fear. And on that point, I wanted to tell you all that Women for Women International is going to host our first feminist festival. It's the She Inspires Me Feminist Festival. Yay! And this is actually a little teaser, because the whole aim of this festival is to build your feminist toolkit, is to share really inspiring women like Emma, many more women who have defied the norm, who've said, you know, I want to do that, and maybe no one else has done it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that's really what we're trying to do here at Women for Women International, because also, like you said, we don't just believe in helping women in countries affected by conflict.
No, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and we are connected, and the more we can support each other, and the more we can find our voice, the more likely we are to build a society where women and men are equal.
Yes.
We can focus on fulfilling our potential rather than abiding by gender stereotypes.
Quite right.
Yay!
Well said.
Thank you so much, Emma. It's been absolutely the biggest pleasure. Seriously, I know you've got the most crazy
No, I always
and
have
you've
time
made
for you.
time for us.
I love it.
Honestly,
It's so good.
Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for tuning in. See you soon. Bye.
Bye.